So this is our first episode of Societal Foolishness. My name is Owen Devlin, along with my co-host Wesley Mitchell, and we're going to talk about a few topics that have been kind of in the news a lot lately.
You can't buy, I believe, candy and soda and
Yeah,
chips any longer. And it's a new movement. They call it MAHA. You know, we already got the MAGA crazy people, so now we got MAHA people, um, which means Make America Healthy Again, which is another reason why the SNP benefits are cut. But when
right.
we were discussing, me and you just alone before we started recording, is that we have our president overseas somewhere right now. The government is shut down now 24 days as of this recording. By the time this goes up, it could be more than 24. But as of we're recording, today's the 24th day. We don't have any lawmakers doing anything for anybody right now. They're off on vacation or something for the weekend. They went home. We don't have anyone doing anything. But yet, the taxpayers' dollars can be used to fund the East Wing being destroyed and him going overseas somewhere. So we have some issues, Owen. We got some issues right now.
Right. And, a piece of that being, a lot of people are furloughed in the shutdown, but, people like air traffic controllers are still working and they're not being paid for it, which I think is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of them too have come forward saying that they, trying to figure out how they're going to pay their bills and put food on the table for not only themselves but their family. They're essentially working for free during the shutdown.
They are, and
they're essential workers.
And there's
That's
a
why they have to
story.
work.
There's a story trending right now out of DC of a young. I'm not going to say he's young. I don't know how old the dad is, but he's a black dad who DoorDash donated $10,000 to him because he can't just work, being an air traffic controller because his daughter's in private school and, he has to keep paying tuition. And I was like, well, that's nice of DoorDash. So he took up DoorDashing as another job. And I know that the secretary, I believe it's the Department of Transportation secretary, said that he doesn't want the air traffic controllers working other jobs. But if they're not getting paid any money, what makes you think that they're just going to sit up here and be, moving those planes without any pay? They're not getting the typical pay that they typically get for doing that type of job. And I wouldn't be working, doing a dangerous thing like that for free anyway. That's dangerous. It's really a dangerous job. That's just me personally. But I mean, to each their own personally. But a lot of people are taking up other jobs because the government is actively shut down, as if it's actively going on. And if we keep going, this time next week, we'd break a record. It'll be the longest shutdown in U.S. history.
Right.
So what is anybody doing, Owen? What are they doing?
I know the governor, I think that a lot of, speaking publicly about how to move forward is different than actually taking steps and actions to do that. And I wonder how many people are actually, we say that they promise all of these things when they speak publicly and they say they want to address different issues, whatever the issues may be. And then I've been finding that we don't really see a lot of progress in the areas where they say they want to make progress. For example, the MBTA, for example, here in Massachusetts, we've heard a lot about, people who regular riders will have come forward expressing issues with reliability, transportation, slow zones, things of that nature. And there's been talks publicly about, the mayor here locally, and the general manager of the T have spoken out publicly, and they've agreed to, and they've essentially said that they are making all of these changes and modifications. And I find myself, I'm a regular rider, so I'll go, when I use the T, which is almost daily during the week.
Mm-hmm.
I go and I see all of the construction in different areas, but I don't, as a writer myself, I don't notice a lot of change.
Right.
And these are long periods. I mean, they'll say, they'll say that these plans have been in the works for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
but then as a writer, myself, I don't really observe a lot of changes because I'm experiencing the same issues. I
Right.
go on T and I experience the slow zones, all of the issues that people, writers like myself come forward and express concern over. I don't really know how much progress is being made in those areas. And that kind of goes back to, what are people going to do about the fact that, these air traffic controllers, these essential workers aren't getting paid? I mean, something needs to really happen in terms of a resolution of some kind has to be made so that the government can come away from the shutdown.
Right. Can
So that
reopen.
they don't, because if there's no resolution, then I mean we can't go on like this, and workers can't continue working without getting paid. It's just not feasible for them and their families. So I don't know what is really going to happen. And the mayor did, or the governor rather, here in Massachusetts did visit Logan Airport because that's where a lot of I mean, this is a federal kind of happening federally, but
Mhm.
locally there are air traffic controllers who are working for Logan, and the governor went there and she met with them and she basically said, "I'm sorry this is happening. I'm sorry you're not getting paid. We're trying to put a temporary plan in place if this shutdown does get prolonged." But I don't really know how much local officials can really do at this point.
They can't do much. It is literally up to the federal officials. Like
Right,
the
right.
federal government has to do something. Or local officials, all they can do is worry about what's going on locally. Like, for example, with these troops being sent to certain cities, that's the only thing that the local or the state governments can take care of. They have no control over SNAP benefits, over where our taxpayer dollars are going. They have no control over what the administration's agenda is, specifically with Project 2025. I don't care how much they try to tell us. They don't know nothing about it. They're the ones who put this all together. They put it in motion. So this is up to the federal government. The Democrats and the Republicans, they need to stop all of that foolishness in the House and the Senate and the White House, and they need to come together and they need to get something done for the American people instead of bailing out Argentina with 20 billion of our dollars. They need to put that money right here into the United States. And maybe we'd have money for the furloughed workers, and maybe we'd have money for the SNAP benefits, and maybe we had money to fund Obamacare and Medicare further. But instead, they want to bail out another country, which again, what does that have to do with America? You're all up in these other foreign affairs and you can't even get your own house together. That's what I don't understand. And nobody is seeming to say anything about it. They're just making it seem like, oh, this is a normal day in America. No, we are getting more and more and more and more and more into a capitalist situation. I guess that's what happens when you put in bad people like we have, and you have a literal playbook that sounds like something that was here before me and you were born on, something that me and you never thought we'd go through in our lifetimes, but yet here we are. So what is the federal government going to do? That's the question. It's not up to the local government. It's not up to the state government. What is the federal government going to do? What is Hakeem Jeffries and what is Chuck Schumer doing other than getting on TV and trying to save their own faces?
Right.
They are literally not showing good unity for the Democrat Party as leaders. And what's the plan? What's the Democrats' plan? To keep arguing, fussing, oh, we're not going to do this. And, oh, Trump's bad. We know Trump is bad. We knew that last year. We knew that in 2021 when the daggum insurrection happened. So we know that. But why are you all actively not fighting? You're literally just letting them do whatever. Chuck Schumer took a picture with a hat in there that said Trump 2028. That's literal propaganda. So how can the American people trust the supposed leaders of the Democrat Party when they're off on vacation too and not doing anything for the American people and just letting this Trump regime do whatever they want to do and then expect to win or take over smallly the House and the Senate in 2026. What are they going to do?
Right. And that's really the issue right there. I mean, like I said, the governor, she can, try to put a temporary plan in place, but since the federal policy, there's not really a lot that she can do about that, which I think is the frustrating part of this whole thing too for local officials who don't necessarily agree with all of the decisions that have been happening or been being made.
That's very true. I agree with that. And there's a difference between your governor and my governor. My governor's crazy down here. I watch what I say. I don't want to get in any trouble. But I don't think he does good enough for this state. Mm-hmm. He's all for that agenda that the administration is pushing. And he sent some of our National Guard up there to Chicago, to Illinois, which was something I don't think, if you can't even worry about what's going on in your own backyard, you know what I'm saying? How can you lend something to someone else's backyard? I always say, if you can't wipe your own behind, how are you going to wipe somebody else's? You can't just do that. And I believe, because I really do believe, and I went to vote today, the gerrymandering is fully in effect. We're in a new district here where I live. They pushed out our representative and we had to vote on a special election. But that to me seems illegal, because typically I believe you go vote before they redistrict stuff, and they don't just come out with maps, but there's just too much stuff. As the name of the show says, there's too much foolishness going on right now in our society, and it's ridiculous.